Okay, so a lot of you probably heard, but Hwayoung, this is the next ML5, was leaked. Now, we don't know if this is true or not. The guy who leaked this is the same guy who leaked, I believe, Her City and ML Shuri. And so those were both correct leaks. So people are optimistic, I guess. But I just wanted to go over her kit, my thoughts that she could have on the meta, all hypothetical, of course. And then I also have, at the very end, we'll go over her animation, because we do have her animation, so that's pretty cool, at least. So she's a Dark Warrior, and she's going to be a uncontrollable light one-shotting unit. So let's take a look at her kit here. So her S1 is pretty simple. I think it's almost the same as regular Hwayoung's S1. So attacks enemy with kicks, increases combat readiness by, looks like up to 20%. I'm guessing this is pre-enhancement. So it looks like up to 20%, which is good. It's good. Pretty solid S1. So S2 here, this is where things get kind of crazy. So this is in Korean, obviously, but it's been translated. Basically, this is saying that it's immune to buffs and debuffs. So obviously, you can't give her attack buff, immunity, stuff like that. But at the same time, immune to debuffs is absolutely nuts. And I think that's the biggest actually impact that she could have on the meta. So at the start of the battle, your defense increases proportionally to your attack power. So this is just, obviously, a lot of units have built-in damage reduction. I think this is just a different way to do that damage reduction. So instead of reducing damage, you're going to increase defense just to give yourself some more bulk. So naturally, you're going to just stack her on a bunch of attacks, just like regular Hwayoung. And because she's immune to buffs and debuffs, you don't really need to build speed, in my opinion. And so if you're building like a 4 or 5k attack Hwayoung here, that's going to be absolutely insane, and then it's going to be extremely bulky as well. Not only that, but the option for building on counter or something is there, especially when S1, if the multipliers are good, and this is a 15% CR push up to 20%, that's pretty crazy, right? So now, here's the crazy part. If an ally excluding you takes 40% or more max health from damage after being hit, uses Sura, which is her S3. Sura Revive the Skies on a random enemy. So it's kind of like Rylet, where he procs his S3 if he's full focus on a random enemy. But 40% or more max health from a damage. So that's basically saying if you chunk out a unit. So this is good for anti-cleave. It's also a little scary for anyone who's going to be bringing like a one-shotter like Blitica or something in an aggro comp. Obviously, the biggest issue I have with her is that she's immune to debuffs, which is huge. But not only that, so this is going to be a one-shotting skill, as we're going to see here. And so this randomly execute this skill. So it's another unit that we have to be like, oh, you have to force target this unit, right? Because her S2 will proc otherwise. And we have so many units like that. Blood Moon Haste, Dragon Bride Senya, and now Hwayoung and stuff. We have so many units that are like, you have to focus down this unit. And if the opponent has 4 units you have to focus down, you've got to figure out something, and you're kind of screwed, in my opinion. So I think that's really scary. But at the same time, for some players, this is really appealing. Now, what people will really like, and my favorite part, is her S3 looks crazy. So her S3 looks like it's a single target attack, and attacks the enemy. And then when the enemy is defeated, inflicts extinction. Sweet. Love another extinction unit. When the target is a hero, ignores damage reduction and damage sharing effects. So that's huge, right? This looks like, so this needs to crit, right? She needs crit chance. But the counterpoint is the multipliers on this, we'll have to see how good they are. But let's say they are, medium or good. You're going to be building her super crazy stats, right? Because you don't need any speed on her. And so now the best part is if it's a light element, increases damage dealt. So it's like LQC, where you're getting that bonus damage if it's a opposite element, right? So in this case, though, it's for light. Now, we don't have any anti-light units besides, I think, Axe God. So this is really good that this is around. But it's also a little scary because even if the multipliers are, like, hopefully, my hope for this unit is that her S3 does not do much damage unless you're hitting a light unit. So that way it's strictly to counter these light comps and stuff. And that way, the fact that she's undebuffable is not that big of a deal. But either way, I just hope she doesn't do that much damage to someone unless it's a light unit, and then I hope she nukes these light units, because that'd be really awesome. Obviously, like, kind of anti-Ruel, maybe even anti-Elenov, because there's no penetration in this kit, right? And we're ignoring damage reduction and damage sharing. So, like, the people who are picking these 3 tanks, these, like, DBS, LRK, Elenov comps and stuff, those comps are going to get punished, which is awesome. That's what we needed. The issue is, I think, just as well, she can be used with these comps. And the scariest part for me is this unable to be debuffed. I think that the game is really going in a direction where you're either like super fast cleaving with Bryceria or TML, or you are playing super slow tank down, and then Harceti and Clan, and now with the new Senya coming out, like they're just reinforcing this tank down, tank down, tank down. And then Hwayoung is yet another unit that you can build 0 speed and stack attack and stats on her, and then she's just absolutely nuts. And so that's pretty scary to me. Obviously, immune to buffs, like, sure, but like whatever. Like, one of the strongest buffs right now is immunity. She's already built-in immunity, right? So, I don't know, attack buff, sure, but like, I think that her being uncontrollable is absolutely scary and really hurts aggro, because aggro, like, everyone's so scared of this DDR, this A Tywin meta. That meta was necessary in order to counter the tank down players. And now the tank down players are getting more and more power and more strength, and it's just become harder and harder to beat them because they're getting more units that are good into these aggro comps that were the solution, right? DDR was the solution into a lot of these super slow, bulky teams, and now they released Neil, and now DDR is a late pick, and now they can even pick Hwayoung, so there's another unit. So they have Hwayoung, Dilibet, SSV. How are you going to debuff that team, right? And so that's just really scary. I don't think aggro or the debuffs or the DDR A Tywin drafts were ever strong enough to warrant completely bashing them into the ground. But you know, the meta changes, it all changes, and we evolve, right? We adapt. Now it is worth saying that when I talk about all these things, this only really matters for people who are pushing from champ to emp and then champ to emp to legend. I'm not familiar with that push at all, but I think in lower tiers, the meta changes don't really matter that much. You can get to champion RTA, and I say this all the time, you can get there with absolutely meme fun comps. So enjoy the game for what it is, and don't be a doomer like me. But I am kind of frustrated with this. Obviously, I like playing aggro. I'll have to shift and I'll have to adapt. But this is another unit that I think really just ruins that play. Hopefully she's not like nuts unless you're taking light units, because there's not a lot of light aggro units that I take. So hopefully she is truly just an anti-take unit. But I feel like she's going to be leveraged in these super tanky comps more than she is going to be used as like an aggro unit and stuff, because of that unable to be debuffed, build her super slow, high stats. So we'll see. We'll have to see how she shakes out. We'll have to see if this is even real. Really quick, we'll take a look at her base stats. We don't really care about Awakening. So imprint concentration is crit chance, so that's really nice. That's one of the best imprint concentrations in the game. And then imprint releases health, not too big of a deal. Looks like she has insane base attack. 1200 is really, really nice. Super low speed, what do we say? And then nice bulk as well. So yeah, you're gonna build her slow, bulky, high damage, and she's just gonna go nuts, right? Honestly, kind of a candy build, probably less bulk and more attack, but other than that, I'm expecting a very similar to a candy build, and I think counter will be viable on her as well. So yeah, all in all, she looks really, really good. Definitely looks like a must-pull unit. And so let's take a look at the animation now. Okay, here it is, here it is. So we've got Esla, obviously the pose nice. I love her design's awesome, by the way. So very, very standard. So here she's proccing, S3. And bang! No voice lines yet. I love the S3. That S3 looks good, dude. That S3 looks good. Very, very classy. Very, very badass. Doing it again. See it again. Yeah, very cool. I like the S3. It's cool. The design, everything's great about the game. I get worried about the debuff thing, you know? So yeah, it looks really cool. But yeah. Sweet. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I obviously, you know, subscribe, like, all that stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video.